good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are across the world, and a massive, massive welcome to you today. And thank you for attending our webinar, exclusive to you guys who are checking out our programs at the University of Roehampton online. And our focus today will be on project management, and our webinar for today is entitled Putting the MSc in Project Management into Practice. So we're going to have a look at some case studies. We're going to have a little look at our program and what we teach in our program, and we have two wonderful guests for today, a very well-rounded view of the project management course from a faculty member, as well as one of our students who's currently studying on the program. So our panel today is Ben. Ben is our student from the MSc in Project Management course, and we have Elaine Garcia, who's our faculty member, who's also teaching on the course. We're going to hear some case studies from them. And my name is Joseph O'Brien, and I'll be your moderator today. We have an open and interactive session. So what that means is that you have an opportunity to ask any questions. If you see that little blue bar just below Elaine and Ben's photo, you can put any question in there that you like. So please listen carefully. And if you have anything to ask Elaine or Ben about the course, about online studying, about project management and the skills that you need to run and lead successful projects, please ask us, and we'll have a Q&A session around half an hour through the webinar where we'll actually get an opportunity to field those questions directly to our guests. So it's a wonderful opportunity to get your questions answered by experts. So without any further ado, let's meet our first guest for today, Elaine Garcia. Hi, Elaine.
Hello.
Hi. And I'd just like you just to tell our audience who might not know you a bit about your background.
Yep, sure. I've been a faculty member with Roehampton for about a year now, so not ever so long. Before that, I worked at a college in Plymouth in the UK, where I was head of blended learning, and I've done a number of projects there. And at the same time, I've been working on my PhD, which is just about to finish in the next month or so. And I also did a part-time MBA whilst I was working, so I understand studying part-time.
Okay, so a glutton for punishment, Elaine, looking to to study all the time to work as well. And we're gonna touch upon some of the projects that you've done as well. Can you just tell us a bit about your field of expertise and what you're doing your PhD in?
Yep, sure. My PhD.
Oh, sorry.
That was a funny noise then.
I think we have a problem with our other guest line, Ben. So just bear with us a sec. Okay. Ben, if you could just disconnect the line and call back in. So if you just give us a brief synopsis about your PhD. Sure.
So my PhD is looking at the use of social media, and particularly blogs, for teaching and learning. And I came at that from a rather strange angle. I started off working in an MIS department, where I became a head of part of the MIS, and from there I started doing my MBA, where I looked at the use of Facebook as a tool for knowledge management. Nice. So after that, I then had an interest in social media, and I was approached to do a PhD, which I decided to do part-time, and it ended up that blogs became my interest, and teaching and learning, I was working in the right sort of place, and as I moved more into my PhD, teaching became one of my passions. So that's what it's looking at, and it looks at all of the different factors that might affect whether you're successful in learning in that way.
Well, that's lovely, and obviously being an online faculty member adds another string to your bow, because it's a very different method of learning, and so I think it's also nice that you get to explore that as well. And we have on the slide here a bit of a strange and a surreal slide. What is the connection between Kevin Bacon, 4G, and the University of Roehampton online faculty member Elaine Garcia? I love this. There's a connection between you, but I don't want to tell the audience what it is yet. Many people might know the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, so we're going to look into that a bit later and find the connection between you. Ben, are you on the line? Is he dialing back in? Just bear with me. We're just going to dial Ben back in, so just bear with me. I do apologize for the delay. stay there. I'm going to conference you back in. Sorry for the delay there, as we're running a webinar across continents. We need to get back onto the phone line, and we have Ben back with us, so sorry about that. And thank you very much, Ben, for being here. I'd just like you to tell the audience a bit about your background, what you do as a job, and where you're from.
Okay, my name is Benjamin Okoroafor. I'm from Nigeria. I am presently based in Abuja, the capital. Mm-hmm. I've been involved with projects, working on projects for over 20 years now. Right. And recently, for the past 10 years, I've been working with the Office of the President on some national projects. Mm-hmm. Presently working with the Presidential Task Force on Power to it's an initiative to improve power supply in Nigeria.
Lovely, and that's why we have a picture of you with a Nigerian flag here, because you actually received a presidential commendation and you work, with the government. Yeah. So I thought this is a nice tie-in, and we're going to discuss a couple of your projects as well. What drew you, Ben, to studying online with the University of Roehampton?
Well, for one, the online course is convenient because it frees me from the bounds of having to be in a physical classroom. Mm-hmm. Because of my career, I may not have the time for a regular physical program. So the online program was more attractive and equally more enlightening because I get to learn at my own pace and I get to apply practically what I learned to my work.
Okay, that's fantastic. And the first case study that you touched upon there that we're going to look at today is you developing the Nigerian electric power sector database. So I'd just like to ask you, Ben, a bit about this project. What was the scope of the project? Can you outline that? And also, what was your role within that project?
Okay. First of all, there are a lot of agencies and parastatals that involved in the Nigerian power sector. And for over 30 years, they've been operating everybody on their own agenda. There was no unifying platform. Nice. As a result, power supply in Nigeria is one of the worst in the world. It's not reliable. Mm-hmm. So when we came on board and I was the head of the MIS and Knowledge Management unit in the task force. Mm-hmm. First challenge is to make sure if we're going to improve power supply to the entire country, we need to have every player in the sector on the same platform, everybody on the same page. We need to communicate projects, timelines, work schedules, everything across people who don't even relate, people from different companies, different backgrounds, different projects. So first of all, to get them to agree on one common platform was a problem. Secondly, to get them to use the platform is a problem. In a country where people don't even like using their official emails because they fear the IT guys would see all their correspondence.
Of course.
So, but we have to go through that ring of distrust, ring mm-hmm. of not wanting to cooperate, to get everybody to communicate the goals of the project and succeed at the end of the day. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have here from inception to project completion, you faced, opposition, apathy, fierce resistance. And this is a question to Elaine as well. Are these kind of common across a lot of projects, apathy, resistance, and on our programs, do we kind of teach any coping mechanisms of how people can rise to these challenges and implement some kind of strategy to deal with them up front?
I think you get apathy and lack of interest across all projects. I think it's very rare that you find a project that everybody's on board with and interested mm-hmm. in. And part of what we teach on the project management MSc is about how to get people on board with your project, and also how to make sure that you've got the right people on board. Because you can have someone very negative who actually has very little effect on your project, or you can have someone very positive who's having a huge effect. So We certainly teach different strategies of how to deal with different stakeholders and how to change opinions. We talk about change management as well. So that's certainly a very big issue in project management and something that anyone that's done a project has bound to have come across, I would have thought.
Of course. And Ben, you obviously on the course, so how did the course help you manage your role in this particular project more effectively?
Yeah, just a little after the project started, I enrolled in the MSc program for project management from Roehampton. And in my module 1, there's this case study we are supposed to apply, Mintzberg managerial roles. We are asked to apply those managerial roles to our everyday office activities and see how we can be better leaders.
Yes.
So I took a critical look. For me, that was like a godsend because it helped me identify the gaps both in my leadership style and also to identify how to help members of my team across the country to deliver better on our objectives. So within 2 weeks of
No, sorry, continue.
Go ahead. Okay. Within 2 weeks of running that analysis with the team, there was noticeable improvement that we started getting comments and commendations from the various organizations we interface with that our style of operation has changed or improved, and I was really excited that yes, what I was learning was actually being, having a direct impact in my first module, my first 2 units. So yes. I knew this was a program I was going to enjoy.
Well, that's great. I mean, the thing is, you touched upon leadership there, and and the program's making you a better leader, and that makes you more effective and able to do your projects. The module that you took is called Leading and Learning in a Dynamic Era, and it's the first module on many of our management programs. And the reason for that is that leadership is important across the board in all types of fields and sectors. And so we teach leadership and all the different styles of leadership and how to deal in a world where it's very difficult to sustain a competitive advantage and there's multiple projects and obligations and stakeholders, and therefore leadership is absolutely at the forefront of all of our courses. So I'm very glad that you started learning and taking stuff from the course straight away. I'd like to also now look at, Elaine, at some projects that you've been doing, and what I think is really, really lovely is that your projects are very different and disparate, and so I'm really eager to look at some of the connections that that are universal across all types of projects. So we have here, a slide here for JISC or JISC. I'm not sure what they're called. Can you just outline a bit about some of your associations with JISC or JARNET, as I've seen, and what do they do in terms of leading up to your project?
JISC is an organisation within the UK who work for all of the HE sectors, so the universities and colleges across the sector in the UK, and they promote digital technologies and the use of digital technologies. Lovely. So JANET then is a particular part of JISC, because we do like acronyms in the UK, and we love acronyms. We love an acronym. And so JANET is part of that, and it deals with the infrastructure and technologies to do with communications, that sort of thing. So if you ever come to a UK university, JANET will be the people who are providing the internet to it. And they also look after EduRoam that allows you to log in everywhere. So they're quite a big organisation. Right,
so, I mean, the Plymouth College of Art, you're working with a massive organisation, JANET. You're also working with, big corporate mobile phone network provider, EE as well. Can you outline a bit about the bare bones of this project and the scope?
Yeah, so the project came about, there was an invitation to participate in the project came out to all universities and colleges. And because JANET's a big organisation, it had partnered up with EE to look at 4G technologies. And this was in 2014 rather. 2004 would be a bit early, when 4G was just coming to the UK, so it was fairly new technology. And what they wanted to do was look at whether 4G could be beneficial to the higher education sector. So there were invitations to any organisation that was interested in participating in this project. And what you would do is you get so many, they're called MiFi devices, a bit like a mobile phone, but it provides you with wireless signal using a 4G signal, so you can connect your laptop or
like dongles.
Whatever. Yeah, it's a type, that kind of thing. So you get a number of those, and also I think about £2,000, something like that, a bit of money to administer it, and you could use those for 6 months, and you needed to feedback what you thought. The interesting thing about us was we weren't actually in a 4G area, and we got selected to take part. So I think it's a real lesson of scoping your project and aiming it right can really make a difference on whether you're successful or not, even at that very early stage.
I mean, I'd like to look at that. I mean, you just touched upon that there. What kind of project management skills were needed for this venture, and what type of challenges arose? And is there any connection between a project like this and a project, like we've just described that Ben's had?
Absolutely. Whenever you do, I've done a number of projects now, and I've been lucky to work with JISC a number of times. But whoever you work for, the essence of the management of a project, which is what funders are very interested in seeing, is the same. So they want to see that your project has a good scope, that it's planned well, that you've got engagement with various stakeholders. They'll look for sustainability at the end of the project. So how are you going to make sure that you don't just do your project, use the money you've been given, and the project dies? How are you going to end your project? How are you going to communicate? All of these things are the same in whatever project you're doing. And so it's these sorts of skills are really important to learn. And I think a number of people, when it's also the same for academic papers, actually, when you come to it and you're applying, unless you adopt some of these skills that are really important, you'll never be able to be successful in getting some of these bids, some of these tenders, unless you use the skills that they're looking for.
And that's interesting, in terms of describing the connection between that and putting an academic paper up, because I'd like to ask you about some of your published work that you have, because you're very well published, Elaine. You're writing all the time, and there's loads of articles up there that you've written or collaborated on. A lot of our students and faculty members alike are all trying to get published, or sometimes it's a bit of a misnomer. People don't know how to do it. Where do you start if you want to start publishing your work? So how did you arrive at publicizing your work, and what were the kind of steps that you took to get to the point that you are with your work?
Sure. I was very lucky that I did an MBA, which was funded through where I was working, and it was part-time. And through that, I met a supervisor who was really helpful and helped me get into academic writing. From there, I've found out that the key to getting successful papers is, I think the biggest, most important thing you need to have is a really good idea. It needs to be something innovative. It needs to be something new. And it can be a tiny little piece of information or knowledge that's new and interesting. It can be tiny, tiny things, but it needs to be different and something that's adding to the wealth of knowledge that is already out there. So once you kind of know how to do that, it's a case of writing it in the academic style, which is the other side of the MSc Project Management, well, all of the MSCs that Roehampton offer, but you'll learn how to write in an academic way, how to support your arguments, how to make that case, how to analyse things. Because when you create a paper, you have to do it in a certain format. You need to have certain sections in there, methodologies, all of those sorts of things. And then you just need to apply. You just find a relevant conference, find a relevant journal and submit it, and they'll provide you with feedback in the same way that you will get formative feedback throughout a module. So it's not as scary as it sounds.
Well, all of your papers, I believe, are available, or most of them, on academia.edu. I've been on there and looking through some of your work. It's fantastic. So, there's an opportunity for all students to go check it out, check out Elaine's work and the work of, anyone else that you're interested in, or look at, the themes that you're interested in, and check out some academic papers, kind of get used to the world of higher education, postgraduate study, and what's expected of you in terms of your writing by looking at the examples out there. I think that's very helpful. I want us to look at our final case study for today, which is extremely different. We have 3 very different, disparate case studies in project management from across very different areas. I'd like to go back to Ben. We have this one for Pipeable TV, which I believe is a new venture, something that you're very heavily involved as one of the top stakeholders in this. What is the scope of this second project, Ben, and what is your role within that?
Okay, it's a paid TV service that it's designed to run on IPTV platform. It's catered to provide quality content to the low-income earners, students, and generally those who can't afford cable TV service. It's a national initiative, so it's supposed to cover the entire country and also neighboring countries.
Wow.
I'm actually leading the team behind this. It's like a pet project, and we've gone quite far to rolling out the service. Because of the socio-economic impact to the poor in the region, it has gathered quite serious followership from members of the government and the private sector.
Nice.
But what was critical in the planning of this project was the risk appraisal, because you did a project of this scope. There's an adage here, the local, what I call it, ideology that's not really helpful, that my studies in project management disproved. It says you don't plan for a funeral if you don't have a corpse on the ground.
Yes.
So, and when people approach projects with that mindset that you shouldn't plan for problems so far as none has emanated yet, it throws up all sorts of risk scenarios. And has been the reason why most startups, initiatives, and such pet projects never see the light of day, because people tend to rationalize, people tend to wish away. But serious project management principles indicate that risk management is part of the planning stage of any project. It will help. So when the problems arise, you already have a mitigating strategy on hand to deal with it.
That's nice, and it's nice that you're taking different modules, and some of them apply more. In certain projects that you do, you have to pull from your learning some risk and management and contemporary issues. From other projects, you're thinking, I need to put my leadership hat on. I learned some skills, for the first module about that. So it's a nice real segue into discussing now the wonderful program, the MSc in Project Management that we offer, where we teach these broad themes: stakeholder theory, strategy, leadership, and of course. Risk management as well. I'll go over to Elaine. How does a project management master's, the full master's course, enable our students to be successful in these type of projects?
The MSc is really important for anyone that's working with projects. It allows you to gain a knowledge of some of the tools and some of the concepts that underpin project management across any sort of project. So you learn all about stakeholders, risk management, performance indicators. We cover things like balanced scorecards, Gantt charts. So it gives you a really strong underpinning of project management as a discipline, and allows you to then take that forward into various projects that you're doing. So whilst on the program, you'll actually be using your real work examples to create assignments that you'll then get feedback on throughout the module. You'll discuss different aspects in shared activities as well. So you get a really good, solid theoretical underpinning, and you also learn from peers whilst you're on the program about different areas of project management. So you get a really 360-degree view of project management. And they also call it a helicopter view, that it actually changes. Having been a master's student myself in business, it really does change the way that you think about your business and what you're doing.
I think it lends, all of our programs lend themselves to our students having a growth mindset rather than, a fixed mindset, and certainly being open to changing maybe some of their preconceptions that they might have about business or project management. And here we have, the module outline. We have leadership as discussed, managing projects, which is, Elaine, that's a module that you teach as well as one of our modules in our IT program. Organizations in the business environment, project risk appraisals, contemporary issues in project management consultancy, and the management research project. The management research project is your final big project. Some people call it a dissertation. It's the final project that you do, the big piece of work that you submit, that I now believe Ben is now on. Ben, you've been in this collaborative learning environment, which for many of our audience members will be a new thing, something they haven't experienced before. Where do your fellow students come from, and how do you interact with them in the classroom?
Well, I've been privileged to have students from Europe, Asia, the Americas, just about every corner of the world, across several modules. And initially, sometimes we have difficulties understanding perspectives, and but as a unit, as each module progresses, we come to get this kind of synergy where we feed off each other. Each person's approach to issues or assignments helps the rest of the group to to have a more enlightened understanding of the module objectives. And that has been my experience so far for the past 6 modules. I'm on the 7th one now.
Well, that's lovely. I mean, we try to produce, well-rounded graduates. It's not just to produce academics, but really practitioners who can go out there and actually use the skills that they learn, directly in their projects. And because we're studying online, the demographic of our student base is slightly older. We're all, working or studying. We have families and other things. Ben, you've got a family as well, and full-time job as well. How do you fit in the time to study at the same time?
That's a challenge. We normally joke among ourselves that master's program is not for family people. It's a full-time thing. So time management is critical.
Yes.
You have a demanding family, an even more demanding job, demanding personal life issues. To find the time to actually do the studies required is the challenge. For me personally, I realized that I can't study while everybody is awake. So I normally do my reading either early in the morning before the family is up, or late at night when everyone has gone to bed. Or sometimes when I'm, on a long trip, I'm commuting, I have the articles I need to research on my mobile device, and I read. I'm always reading, and what really helped me to cope with the workload is applying what I read to my everyday work environment, my everyday professional life.
Yes.
It brings the principles home to me, and it makes learning easier for me.
Yeah, it's much easier when you're taking your work-based problems into the classroom, and your classmates are like an on-hand consultancy service. You're all consulting each other on how to strengthen each other's work or career position, and so you kind of feel that strength in numbers from your classmates who are all basically trying to develop themselves at the same time. Now, we run a very robust program. We have a large number of students and a large support network, and we also have, accreditations, affiliations, and all that type of stuff. And that's important too. Elaine, how important is accreditation? And can you outline slightly what, the APM accreditation may represent for our university?
Sure. Accreditation is really important when you're doing a program because you want to know that the standard is high. For this program, the APM stands for the Association for Project Management. It's really important because it gives us chartered status to the program. And this assures anybody that's doing the program that this program has been through a regulatory authority and that it's something that's acknowledged by project professionals. This body also sees project management as an important discipline in which there's expertise, and they've developed frameworks, they've developed competencies. So it's really making project management an important field and something that needs to be respected and is gives discipline within its own right.
Yes, and it is. Exactly, and it's no different from the campus masters that you take. All of our students graduate on campus just like they would have studied at Roehampton as a campus student, and the same ceremony, the same piece of paper is identical in every way. But the accreditation is also important and links both campus and the online program. So it's still very important for those that might be looking at prospective employers or career advancement, that they do have a solid qualification, so we can definitely assure that. Now, before we move on to our Q&A session, I want to find out, Elaine, what links you with Kevin Bacon, great actor, famous for Footloose and other movies. Yep. Can you quickly describe, what is the link between you and him? Is this a potential family member?
Well, no, I can't say. I've never even met him, I have to say. But when I was doing some of the presentations, because I got invited as well to speak at the Janet conference, so I was trying to think of ways to make it interesting for the audience, and so at the time, Kevin Bacon, and he still is doing a lot of adverts for EE in the UK, so I was thinking about Kevin Bacon, and I started Googling him, and what I found out was that there's actually something called 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon on the internet. And most people have heard of 6 degrees of separation, which gives it says that everyone in the world is connected by 6 people. So if I want to contact Kevin Bacon, I should be able to get to him through 6 people. And so that's what I started looking at. So and here is the diagram. So I worked with a guy called Alan Lemon when I worked at the College of Arts, and he had worked with someone called Brian Blagden. Now, Brian Blagden had also worked with another guy called Alex Mackenzie, who had taught Charles Dance, the actor. Now, Charles Dance went to the College of Arts. Pardon?
From Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes, indeed, and many other fine performances. He was a college student. Charles Dance has worked with James McAvoy, and James McAvoy has worked with Kevin Bacon. So there are, in fact, 6 degrees of separation between me and Kevin Bacon. And what you can actually do is go onto Google, and if you type Bacon number and any actual famous person, it will tell you how many degrees of separation there are between them and Kevin Bacon. So it's an interesting way to waste some time.
Well, I assume now that me and Ben know you, Elaine, and our audience knows you, that we're now all 7 degrees from Kevin Bacon, right?
Exactly, 7 degrees from Kevin Bacon. It's
almost as good. All I have to do is meet Alan Lemon, and I'm quids-in 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. So lovely. So that's we've looked at the case studies. We've reviewed Kevin Bacon, which is an important element for all of our webinars, and we're moving on to our Q&A session. We've had a few questions come in, some lovely questions, which is a great opportunity really to ask you guys some stuff about the course and about your areas of expertise in project management. A lovely question on the floor for you, Elaine, and students can still send their questions in by typing below the blue box there. How much time? Oh, sorry, that's a question for Ben. Just bear with me. In your experience, Elaine, are the other faculty business professionals equipped with real-world experience as well as, the academic side of their profile?
Yeah. I think particularly in this sort of platform, the faculty members tend to be very experienced and come from across the world. So when you apply to become a faculty member, you go through quite a rigorous training program, and you also send in, obviously, your experience and things. So I think pretty much everybody at Roehampton has real-life business skills as well as the academic skills. Often people are doing this part-time alongside doing something else. So you're more likely to find business professionals here because of the platform.
Exactly, and like yourself, you're also, studying for your PhD at the same time as well as doing projects and stuff. So it's really about having, kind of blended lifestyle, which is really what it's all about now in the creative economy that we live in. So, Ben, a question for you. Where does Ben feel during his projects the program helped him to evolve, develop, and learn? So how did you develop and learn during the projects? How did the program help?
Well, I was under the impression that I will get a full education. And after my program, I can start applying what I learned. But like I earlier indicated, from my first module, the principles I started gathering were immediately I found, a practical application for them on the project I was working on at that time. So I think each module successively as I've progressed, I've been able to find a practical way to improve my professional life based on what I was learning. So from the get-go, from the beginning and all through, I've had that impact in my job.
Lovely. Another question for you, Ben. How much time does Ben invest on a weekly basis in terms of managing his studies?
Well, I can only give averages. I will not tell you that I have this rigorous schedule that I keep to. I'm not a military man. But I'll say on the average about 14 hours.
About 14 hours.
About 14 hours on the average. Some weeks when I have less workload or when I have more time, I spend more. Some weeks I spend less. But on the average, I should have about 14 hours to go through the objectives of each unit. But that's actual studying. Something that helped me more is practically applying it, talking with friends. Project management is not only when you're working on a project. Our everyday life is a project. Our everyday interaction is a project. Walking from your house to the car is a project. So you apply these principles in everything I do, so it becomes part of me.
Lovely. Elaine, for those that don't understand online learning, how are students assessed and what do they have to do in the classroom?
Right. There's an online platform which you get access to. There's a social side to it as well as the learning platform. But my main experience is obviously in the learning platform. In that, you get a range of resources that you need to go through each week, and also there'll be a shared activity and usually an individual assignment for each unit, which lasts 2 weeks. So a module is 12 weeks, and then there's 6 units in each module, and each one lasts 2 weeks. During that time, you can log onto the platform and have online discussions. So that can happen wherever you are, whenever you want to. You can just go in and add a comment or a discussion. And then the individual assignments, you'll have usually an essay, maybe a PowerPoint presentation that you need to do that will be about 2,000 words, 1,500 words across the 2 weeks. You then submit that and you'll get feedback via a messaging type system on that work. At the end of the module, you'll bring all of those assignments that you've done during the module together, and that will be your final project. So you get a lot of feedback on your assessment, and you get indications of how to improve your work, what you might be able to improve, what you're already doing very well. And in the shared activities, you speak with other students and get lots of ideas and help there as well. So it's very interactive and lots of feedback. You're not just expected to do the module on your own and then submit a paper at the end and it's pass or fail. It's not like that at all.
Okay. It is challenging. However, like any long postgraduate program of study will be, especially at a rigorous institution such as Roehampton. Ben, you must have had challenges along the way. I have a question here. Were there moments that you were challenged, and what motivated you to continue, Ben, when it was tough putting in those hours of studying?
Yeah, I've had 2 such occasions. My second module and the 5th module, where I had this overwhelming urge to quit.
Yes. Because
I couldn't go on the second module. The workload jumped. It was double what I experienced in module 1, and I thought I cannot cope with this load. Maybe this was a mistake. But interestingly, on my second module, my faculty member, the instructor, then took, he kept on sending reminders, prompters, and asking how I was coping, and he really helped me and encouraged me to not to drop out.
And give you that.
My
much.
5th module was external. It had to do with pressure from the workplace. I had too much on my plate. I just felt I don't have time for the studies. Maybe I should suspend it. But I realized the reason why I was getting that much responsibility was because I was applying what I already learned. And I needed to see this through. My support from my family and friends helped me to keep up. But above all things, I enjoy what I learn, and I see the practical application and benefits of it. So even at moments when I'm down, moments when I'm discouraged, I look at what I've gained so far from the program and I'm determined to see it through.
Lovely. Last question I'll have, which I can take here, is I've studied MSc Project Management and qualified, and I want to be a professional infrastructure project manager. Do I have to do an undergraduate? Oh no, this is maybe for you, Elaine. Sorry. Do I have to do an undergraduate relevant degree or diploma? So if someone's actually done the MSc in Project Management and they're qualified, do they also need to bring an undergraduate diploma if they want to, register with a professional body or work on projects?
Usually, it would depend on the experience that you have, but usually a master's is sufficient. For some, it really does depend on the body, but often you need so many years' experience as well as the academic qualification. But the master's is what you would complete after the undergraduate degree. So there wouldn't really be any point in doing the undergraduate when you already have a master's, because that's the level above anyway. But it depends on the body and what you're doing.
Exactly, and the landscape for project management, is so rich in terms of the amount of certificated trainings that you can do, certified training, sorry. You could do your Prince 2, you could do your Agile, you could do your Scrum, your Lean, you could do your Sigma 6, but the whole point of the Masters in Project Management is it teaches you an in-depth, broad basis of skills with very much in-depth theory and practical application. So you might have your Lean qualification or you might be an expert in Agile, but then you go and take the MPM and you learn a broader range of skills, so you can speak you have more vocabulary, I assume, in terms of your ability and your efficacy as a project manager. So thank you very much, both of you, for taking those questions. I'd like to discuss our Refer a Friend program as well. students like Ben and other students often study together on our programs. We've got amazing word of mouth. 1 out of 5 of our students at Roehampton is actually referred by another student, which is more than likely a colleague, a family member or a friend. So if that's something you're interested in doing or you're already thinking about, just discuss that with your enrollment consultant. Save yourself a bit of money on your fees. That's a nice way to get a bit of financial assistance for your tuition as well. So go check out our Refer a Friend program. It's really, really nice, and we're super proud of it. So check it out. In terms of practical steps, our next start date is imminent. It's upon us. It's in a month's time. It's the 30th of June. For any of the students who are actually signing up, this week, if you sign up this week and you're in your application process, then there is an offer on at the moment where you get some money also off your tuition fees, just to help you start your studies in the summer. So it's nice about online learning is we don't just have one intake, in September like a traditional institution. We have a number of them, trying to provide a bit of flexibility for our students. That's it for today. Thank you very, very much to everyone who's attended our webinar. I'd like to also have a big, big thanks to our guests. So thank you very, very much, Elaine, for bringing your project in and discussing that. We're not robots who teach on the course. There are real people out there instructing in your classroom. Elaine, you're there, and
yep.
Students who are going on the course might end up in your module managing projects. So,
yep.
So hopefully you'll see some of these people in class as well who've been attended today. So thank you very much, Elaine.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. And Ben, thank you also very much for your insight. I'm extremely excited now as you enter your final project, your dissertation stage. As I said to you earlier, we have a webinar for our students on dissertation success and how to think of your proposals. I know you're interested in risk management, so I'm looking forward to seeing a great dissertation from you as well, Ben. I will ask you one last question, the last question of the day. Ben, if you could go back, way back to before you started your first module, leading and learning, what one piece of advice would you tell yourself, knowing everything that you know now, 2 years into the course?
Well, I'll tell myself to be more prepared for it. I think I walked into this without I think it was going to be easy. More prepared, time-wise, schedule, mentally, because that made me, I didn't start very well. So, more prepared. This is a very serious student.
Exactly, and that's coming from a project management student. Our project management students are our best, most prepared students. We always say, wish our students luck, but like Ben says, if you're prepared, you won't need luck. So thank you very much, Ben. Thank you very much, Elaine. Thank you very much to our lovely audience today. We hope to see you all in class, and thank you for attending this evening. Goodbye and good evening to all of you.
Thank you.